are in the dawn of a new decentralized era, where people who don't know or trust each other can securely collaborate and transact online without the need for an intermediary. For distributed ledgers to go mainstream and enable this vision, there are 4 issues that must be addressed: speed, security, stability, and governance. Hedera Hashgraph is the enterprise-grade public network that addresses these challenges. The underlying Hashgraph consensus algorithm offers speed and scalability, fair ordering, and best-in-class security for mission-critical applications. Hedera is a platform built on and built for trust.
You need a governing concept. And because blockchain systems are about trust, well, somebody has to set the standard for trust.
Hedera aims to achieve a truly decentralized governance model. The Hedera Governing Council is an elected group of highly diversified, leading global organizations, committed to supporting the development and growth of the Hedera public network. Comprised of the world's most innovative companies across different industries and geographies, the Hedera Governing Council will chart the path for the Hedera platform and public network. Their responsibilities include hosting and maintaining initial network nodes, establishing a governance framework for global markets, and overseeing the software run by hundreds of thousands of nodes at scale, and for the overall direction of the Hedera platform's codebase.
We decided to join Hedera Hashgraph, but not only join, but being a counselor on the Hedera Hashgraph network, because it's important for us to influence the future roadmap.
The Governing Council will play a crucial role for this emerging sector, creating the best practices and guidelines that will serve the industry for decades to come.
But we're all going to be able to get together and share that sort of global best practice knowledge on a series of interesting and challenging questions about the future of this technology and how we can help frame a governance around it.
Hedera Hashgraph goes beyond blockchain with a fast, fair and secure distributed public ledger governed by the world's leading enterprises and made for developers, creating a trusted and empowered digital future for all. What future will you build?
Hello everybody, it's Max with Crypto Talk Now. Hedera has came out with an update in regards to its governing council. But before we get right into who exactly that big player is, let's give you guys an idea on who exactly is their governing council and why it matters so much. So check this out for yourself. And this was reported from this guy. His name is Jesse from Crypto Twitter. He states the current list of Hedera governing council members is already impressive. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's probably the most impressive one out there. I'm sure you recognize a few of these tech giants. Absolutely. I mean, Boeing for one, Chainlink, Dell, T-Mobile, let's face it, Google, IBM, LG, Standard Bank, Ubisoft, just to name a few. But, you know, you need to have an idea about who is just that, the governing council, and why is there so much emphasis on Hedera's governing council? Well, they have one of the most impressive ones out there. I mean, on the surface, this really makes Hedera stand out. Not to mention how they're not even a blockchain. They have, for instance, the Hashgraph protocol, right? So I want to show you guys this briefly. And this came from House of Chimera. What is the Hedera Governing Council? You know, some people ask me this on the live show. Some people, you know, for instance, DM me this and so on. And we'll just touch bases on this just real quick. So they have basically a governing body. Hedera Governing Council is the governing body responsible for overseeing the development and growth of the Hedera Hashgraph network. I mean, you know, they're an all-star group, like we mentioned and showed, you know, whether it's LG, Boeing, IBM, Google, and so on. But they're also big players when it comes to, for instance, their decision making and, for instance, node management, and they only have a limited amount of members. Not anyone and anybody can join this, right? That's one of the key things. So one thing I want to point out is the update, and basically it's like this. This was reported about 7 hours ago, and it's just that, Hedera is set to be a sure winner, like it says in the long run. I agree with that. This is one I'm not looking to swing trade or anything like that. There's a few particular cryptocurrencies in my book that you need to hold long term, all right? It's not financial advice, but this is just the way I'm personally looking at it. Hedera is definitely one of those. Today marks another milestone, and here is the one we're talking about. They're referred to as Hedera Holding. They joined the Hedera Governing Council, and maybe you're not aware who they are and so on, so we're going to get into some of that. But just on the surface, I mean, they have a parent enterprise with over 60,000 employees. For instance, with a real estate background, they have asset management, sustainable food, green energy. I mean, obviously they're going to join up with Hedera, since Hedera, let's face it, is the greenest of green when it comes to distributed ledger technologies and private equity and much, much more. Now this comes straight from Hedera, and we're going to jump into this. So on this particular thread, it mentions how they're excited to announce that Hedera Holding, who's the parent enterprise, like I mentioned, with 60,000 plus, has joined them and so on. There's this right here. They do have a storied history, and this dates back to, I believe, the 1800s. So I mean, this outfit's been around for a very, very long time. Yeah, like I mentioned, 2 centuries. Hedera, they were basically, consistent to strive to have lasting and positive impact on society and the environment, operations across many, very many industries and so on. I mean, they definitely stand out when it comes to real estate. So I imagine they're going to do, like the tokenization of real estate through Hedera. But they're looking to get in other, diverse ranges of like what DLT has to offer and so on. So there's this outline that's here. It says, we look forward to seeing how this new partnership between Hedera and Hedera will be able to further showcase the value of distributed ledger technologies and its potential to transform basically enterprise, right? Bring us one step closer to decentralized Web3 of tomorrow. But the other thing I want to mention and show you guys basically is a little bit more of what we have. And of course, this was originally reported from straight from Hedera. So this was posted earlier today, straight from Zug, Switzerland. The Hedera Governing Council, which steers the Hedera open source leaderless proof of stake public network, announced today that Hedera Holding joined the Governing Council. They have a 182-year-old family enterprise, like I mentioned, 60,000 plus employees. All this sustainability comes with food, green energy, you name it. But what do they bring to the table, basically? Well, they're wanting to, for instance, be a force for good. I mean, a lot of times when we hear about some of the connections to the WEF, people will kind of shake their heads, because they feel as though the World Economic Forum is on the other side. Teach is on. I don't want to get into that discussion, but let's face it. But what about Hedera, right? Is it really truly their mission to do good and so on? Will they really work with, developing innovative blockchain-based solutions, like it says, with Hedera focusing on areas of tokenization and supply chain transparency? Looks to be the case, right? So it says, according to Simon Olson, who is the co-chair of Hedera's membership committee, look at this quote. He says, "You won't solve the world's most intractable problems by working in isolation. It's a coordination problem. In order to overcome problems like climate change and effectuate change on a global scale, you need to work with a wide cross-section of stakeholders." In regards to Hedera, they have a long, successful track record of building coalitions to tackle difficult problems, and we believe that they will contribute enormously to Hedera. So, let's face it, when it comes to this governing council, there's going to be bigger players that stand out. They're more of a, a widespread, big name recognition, through Google, IBM, Boeing, and so on. But what about this whole thing with Hedera, right? So I got more further answers and so on, and one thing I saw here was there was a recent study by the University College London that states, Hedera's hashgraph proof-of-stake consensus algorithm, which is also most energy efficient, made it an ideal partner for climate change conscious organizations like COFRA. If COFRA is standing out as far as being, one that is trying to do good in the world and, trying to have sustainable energy and, pro-green all the way, like I mentioned, Hedera definitely stands out as being the greenest of the green. Now, I want to take you to their actual site. They are basically a family enterprise. They've been around for a very, very long time. Like it shows right here, 6 generations. COFRA is united around a common mission to amaze customers and be a force for good. The enterprise cares deeply about people and the communities it serves, striving to have a lasting positive impact on society and even the environment. They have like-minded professionals. They're looking to make a difference every day. But, one of the other things I saw here is they mentioned that they're built to last. So this is not some like fly-by-night company. They are a powerhouse, to say the least. So they're involved with retail. They're involved with real estate, like I mentioned, investment. They aim to set industry-leading standards of quality while demonstrating that business can play a powerful role in society. This is not business as usual, like they put it. Operating in highly competitive markets while pursuing ambitious community goals is the road less traveled. It takes an independent entrepreneurial spirit and the appetite to think and invest long-term to foster fairer, safer, and more sustainable industries. Now, in regards to the nitty-gritty of who they are and what they're about, their business operates autonomously in a spirit, like it mentions, of engaged entrepreneurship. The fashion retail company, CNA, is the oldest business in the group, dating back to 1841. My goodness, a lot of history behind this company. A commercial real estate business with a focus on retail that was founded in 1999. That was the year I graduated high school, for crying out loud. And Bregel Investments, a global investment equity firm, in 2002. For almost a century, Anthos Fund Asset Management has provided comprehensive asset management to the family, their philanthropies, and various pension funds of COFRA entities. That's a lot right there. There's a little bit more. COFRA, full name, which is COFRA Holding AG, was established in 2001 to coordinate the global commercial activities of the family owners. Sunrock, which was acquired in 2020, is a leading developer and owner of solar energy assets in the Netherlands. Dalsum is one of the world's major developers of complete high-tech greenhouse projects. Again, hence why, in my opinion, you have the Hedera connection. Canadian-based Ontario Plants, the most recent business in the group, is the leading supplier of high-quality standard plants for organic greenhouse growers in North America. So they have all these subsidiaries, right? So, it says explore more of the enterprise. You can definitely do that if you choose to do so. One thing I'm going to point out right here is not this right here, but it says, as owners of a broad and diverse group of businesses, they have always taken long-term perspectives in order to generate lasting value in all of what they do, basically. At the same time, through their philanthropic endeavors, they look to address structural issues and find ways to support systems reform and also ultimately build a better future. Now, some people may think, well, that's cool, but I just want the H-bar days and so on. Well, you got to keep in mind, it's nice to see some of the background in regards to this. But check this out, nonetheless. This comes straight from Wikipedia, and there's some key things I want to point out here, basically. So, we were just mentioning CNA, right? That was a fashion retail company. I should say was, still is. They are the oldest business in the group. They were founded in 1841 when brothers Clemens and August Brenninkmeijer opened the first CNA store in Sneek, the Netherlands. As a 2019, CNA had around 1,900 stores and employed, listen to this, guys, over 50,000 people in 21 countries, mostly in Europe, but also in Brazil. Since 1976, Mexico, and even 99, and also China and so on, since 2007. In 2019, CNA Modus became a listed company in Brazil, trading, for instance, on the Brazilian Stock Exchange. There's a ticker symbol. But another key thing I want to point out here is this right here. Management and business practices. Did you know that COFRA which is a privately held company owned by around 60 descendants of Clemens and August Breckenmeyer. The group is known as Sneaker Kring, a reference to the town of Sneak, which CNA was founded. Within the group of family owners, there's key decisions are basically taken on the basis of consensus rather than voting. Martin Brenninkmeyer is the chairman of Kafra's executive board. In 2016, Die Zeet interview with Maurice Breckenheimer, Gotts Hammond, and Eugene Hauser wrote that the company shares cannot be inherited. They can only be obtained by family members who serve as Kafra executives. Now, just a tad bit more about this real quick. So their family dates back to the 1800s, as we know. But one of the key things I want to show you guys right here is where it talks about their fortune, right? So it says, in addition to textile retailer CNA, the Breckenmeyers own and control, listen to this, guys, several companies in the private equity, real estate, and financial services industries, named Anthos Fund and Asset Management, Redaveco, and Bregel. Through their investment vehicles, they have stake in two of the largest fishing companies on both the West Coast and East Coast of the United States. And if you're wondering about, like, well, how much is this technically, I guess you could say, worth? In fashion and retail alone, that's about 10 billion, worth more than 10 billion euros. Real estate investments, 7 billion euros. Private equity, about 8 billion. As far as financial services, is unknown. But one of the key things is they're worth a lot of money, and they're part of Hedera, for crying out loud. So that's very, very impressive. Like I mentioned, they have some notable members. Some of these guys are even celebrities. One guy is an actor who is Philip Brenninkmeyer. But nonetheless, I thought I'd point some of this out. I feel as though that I wouldn't be surprised to see a report soon in regards to the tokenization of real estate and so on. We covered, for instance, Rio, right? Rio, the tokenization of real estate and so on. It's nice to see something like this, especially when it comes to Hedera, right? So, I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised that they got something going on and they're building upon us as we speak. Now, a little bit more in regards to Hedera. This was posted 8 hours ago. We also have, for instance, a source for that for you guys. But Google's hosting a Hedera Governing Council meeting in person in Mountain View, Friday the 19th, which is coming up here in the next couple days, through Sunday the 21st. And basically speaking, like it shows Google right there and so on. But, let's face it. Kafra, one of the newest ones of the Governing Council, you better believe they're going to be part of this whole mix of that Governing Council to be there, talk about some things in regards to Hedera. All right, just a tad bit more. Here's the current list of Hedera Council members, right? And we pointed this out before. It's very impressive. Who will be next? Well, the one that was next is Kafra. All right. What I want to also show you is this particular update. This was also a few days ago, not super long ago, just in case you missed it. LG Electronics files a patent for blockchain-enabled smart TV with NFT trading capabilities right on the television set. And it's all built upon the Hedera network. As we know, LG is one of the key companies that is part of these partnerships with Hedera. All right, tad bit more. If you weren't aware of this, there was a mainnet update posted 2 hours ago. Here's some of those updates for the mainnet: to implement topic deletion pre-handle, generalized workflows, enabled and add workflow reports. A few other one here, pre-handle improvements. There's a lot of stuff. Some of this is kind of, let's face it, the nerdy tech stuff. But, another thing I want to mention to you guys is this right here: to finalize hollow accounts via any required signature in a transaction. Remove crypto create capability to create hollow accounts. Enable, and this one's big in my opinion, these two: populate EVM address in crypto transaction and enable all EVM E2E suites to run with Ethereum calls. So if you saw our update when it came to Polygon, roughly about, I would say about 2 months ago, that was big in regards to EKZVM. The reason why that was so big is because that's going to allow, for instance, a lot of devs to be able to easily write code with not much lines of code on, for instance, Polygon, right? And we saw an increase of about 300% in volume. We didn't see price action, but we saw a lot of volume. I think some of that price action was crippled due to the hack that happened a while back during that time. And of course, you know, we had some proxies in place, is like an insurance policy, if you will. And a lot of other content creators cover that. I did as well. And we're fine. But if you're wondering, like, you know, for some like the swing traders, in which I wouldn't swing trade this personally, but some of the swing traders were like kind of down in the dumps because they feel as though, you know, oh wow, you know, 300% increase in volume, but that was suppressed. Well, keep in mind this, right? What about when it comes to Hedera's Hbar with EVM, right? E2E suites and so on. That is a huge positive catalyst because, again, similar like to Polygon, we should see some significant price action, in my opinion, when it comes to just that Hbar. Might not be anything necessarily parabolic, but I'm not complaining with this. I mean, if you're going to allow more devs to come over to your platform and, for instance, you know, develop maybe or even bring something to the ecosystem, which really has an impressive ecosystem, it's a win either way when it comes to Hbar. There's a source right from docs.hedera.com. You can look it up for yourself if you choose to nerd it out. Last but not least, there's this particular post. This was released about a couple days ago. Shout out to Hbar to the Moon. He states, real financial disruption is happening on Hedera. Diamonds are a $1.2 trillion market, and 50 million have already been tokenized on Hedera through Diamond Standard. If you're wondering about Diamond Standard, you can also, of course, follow them on Twitter. They are the producer of the world's first and only regulatory-approved diamond commodity and revolutionary digital asset. Pretty darn impressive. Gold tokenization is next, and of course, as we know, when it comes to contact gold, that's what really makes XDC, you know, stand out in itself. Not to mention all the other things that XDC stands out when it comes to trade. But how about gold tokenization, even on Hbar? Yeah, I would expect that to be next as well. Trillions of dollars of value going to flow into it, you know, Hedera in the coming years. I would totally agree. And then, you know, even this stat right here, you know, it says, and I'll blow this up, you know, 2.5 million US Hedera tokenized diamond trading volume, right? That's impressive stuff. We'll get a little bit more into this. It says, we chose to build on Hedera because its speed, security, and transparency were essential to our vision of democratizing access to diamonds in an asset, as an asset class. Hedera will enable Diamond Standard to offer investors unprecedented transparency and liquidity. And of course, there's a little bit more in regards to this. We're going to bring you here to this in a second. And then after this, we're going to probably wrap it up. But check this out. BT Carbon and Diamond Standard unlock the investment potential of diamonds through tokenization just on the Hedera network, for instance, creating a highly accessible, secure, and transparent means of trading. I give you some of those particular, you know, areas, but I want to jump down further to here. Here's a brief overview. So Bitcarbon and Diamond Standard are leveraging the Hedera network and its service to tokenize diamonds and create a fungible commodity that is transparent, traceable, and easily tradable, providing greater liquidity and accessibility to the diamond market, which has been significantly under-allocated until now. You gotta keep in mind, you know, like for instance, you saw some of the tokenization of diamonds on even LCX, for instance, with diamonds. This is Hedera that we're talking about. And one of the key things that people do complain about when it comes to LCX, for instance, is, you know, they're on Ethereum, ERC20 token, and so on. This is Hbar. I mean, it's blazing fast. So this is really, really key. Some people might call this, you know, them running competition with LCX. Call what you want, but it's still a great opportunity. There's, of course, this whole thing about the challenge and solution. I'm going to share this with you guys for just a brief bit. It says the team at Diamond Standard recognized that investment in the diamond market is vastly underallocated due to there being too many barriers to entry for investors to participate. They believe the solution to this lies in creating a digital method of investing in diamonds through tokenization. and also to provide a more transparent, traceable, and efficient market for investors truly unlocking their investment potential. The solution, according to them, is by tokenizing diamonds on the Hedera network. Diamond Standard has created a more accessible, transparent, and liquid market for diamonds, where a mathematically standardized collection of diamonds are represented by a unique token with a common grading system and verifiable digital identity. The Hedera network provides scalability, as we know, security, and additional regulatory compliance, allowing Diamond Standard to remove barriers to entry to invest in the diamond market by creating a trusted and efficient ecosystem for just that, investors. So, you know, on the surface, some of these guys will say we're not competing with each other and so on. You better believe this is a form of competition, especially when it comes to, in my opinion, LCX and diamonds, because, I mean, you know, a lot of people don't necessarily want to get hit with some of those big gas fees. Let's just be honest about that. This, on the other hand, you better believe this is going to create some competition. So, in closing, I thought I'd bring that to you guys. I think there's a lot going on with Hedera. Right during a time where recently I basically saw some people complaining about, hey, there's not much going on with Hedera. You guys still gung-ho about Hedera. I mentioned on the live show a few days ago that I feel as though I'm still gung-ho about it, definitely. You know, Hedera Hbar is still my top 10. I would probably rank it number 6 overall. And, you know, it is what it is. I mean, some people are going to complain about certain things when they don't see a lot of news. But what's one of the key things here, guys? One of the key things here is that they're obviously building, they're expanding, and they just added one key player to their governing council. Combine that with the fact that that new governing council member is going to tokenize assets. What kind of assets? You better believe it's going to be the tokenization of real estate or private equity, for instance. Well, combine that also with what you recently saw with the tokenization of diamonds. I would say for the most part, Hedera is definitely killing it. So when we look more and more into it, is Hedera going to be a great long-term holding for somebody like myself? Well, you better believe it. And if anything, I'm looking to add to my position at some of these pullback prices that we've had for Hbar. Let me know what you guys think in regards to Hedera's hash graph, or the token Hbar. Are you holding it long term, or is it one of those that you just kind of iffy on because you're not maybe as patient as the next guy, and you're wanting to get out of it? Whatever the case be, we can agree to disagree, but for me, it's definitely a long-term hold. So that is today's Hbar video. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Have a blessed day, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.